Ashley, there we go.
Hi, I'm Ashley and I'm here to talk about fist fighting and recent part of it. More specifically, more so towards the NHL, the National Hockey League. Fighting has been a part of the NHL since its formation in 1917 and its 1922 rule about what it's then called fisticuffs. The current NHL rulebook addresses fighting in Rule 46, which defines a fight at least one player punching or taking a swing at another player repeatedly, or players wrestling in a way that is difficult to separate. Players who fight are sent into a penalty box during the game and may be subject to additional fines. Overall, I'm here to tell you that hockey fights are a beneficial aspect to the game. More so because the proponents of fighting allow hockey to become a safer sport, increases the game's entertainment value, and keeps tradition alive. So my first claim allows fighting to make the sport safer overall by holding players accountable. Professional hockey is a fast-moving sport, and referees often miss illegal body checking and hits with the hockey sticks and other aggressive plays. Retaliation by fighting brings accountability and prevents more of those dangerous plays from happening. Hockey players often don't fight just for the sake of violence. Comeback within the context of the game serves as a deterrent to hurting a star player because the aggressors know there will be paid. Jared Bull of Columbus Blue Jackets stated that I don't think you'd see more just by people being dumb on the ice and running around knowing they don't have to face anyone or answer to a bell if they do something stupid. I guarantee that more people will hurt from an increase in open ice body checks than by allowing the players to fight one-on-one. After the fight, both players are sent to the penalty box for 5 minutes versus the original 2 minutes a player would get for a regular penalty. Moreover, the presence of a possible fight deterrs cheap hits and dangerous stick play. Steven Stamkos, a forward from the Tampa Bay Lightning, stated, "You have to police yourself sometimes on the ice. When you see a fight, it's now a response. If someone didn't like something that was done in the ice, and I think you need that. It's healthy." He is one of many players that believe it's essential to have the option of a fight, allowing aggression to be relieved. It allows more players to release their anger and better control their emotions afterwards. According to Sports Illustrated, a normal hockey game hits an average of 0.7 hits per minute. During an escalated gameplay, that hit rises to 1.1 per minute. Once the fight breaks, the two players are separated into the penalty box. The normal state of the game goes down to 0.76 hits per minute. Therefore, in the absence of a fight, there's a good reason to expect that the violence will only increase with foul play, and therefore increasing the risk of injury. And on to my next supporting claim. Hockey fights increases the game's entertainment value. Fighting draws fans into watching and or attending the game. A majority of the hockey fans oppose a fan ban because they think on-ice scuffles are a significant part of the game at a pro level. According to the Toronto Star newspaper, Travis Hughes, a National Hockey writer, stated, "Fighting exists in hockey because we enjoy watching people fight." Hockey fight clips get shown on ESPN SportsCenter and have millions of views on YouTube. It helps the NHL stand out from other sports because no other teams have such sanctious brawlings. SportsCenter anchor John Rupustros wrote, "Fights can add entertainment value and change a game and have fans talking for days. No fan likes watching a losing team. Therefore, last year, 6 out of the 10 teams in the league that had the most fights during playoffs, 7 out of the 10 teams, 6 out of the 10 teams, most violent teams, made the playoffs, one of those being the actual Stanley Cup champions of 2017, increasing the TV ratings and increasing their chance of winning. Also, hockey brawls not only increase TV ratings, but also attendance. An economic study of hockey found that violence, specifically more so the fighting, attracts more fans in large numbers across the United States and Canada. The chance of a hockey fight also increases ticket sales. Rich Kuhn, a Maple Leafs forward and a longtime fighter, said, "I think the NHL is cognizant of the fact that they can't eliminate it and turn it into a non-contact sport because I don't think it'll sell, especially in America where the game is still growing. It is attention that other sports just don't have. It's the get the game. It keeps people honest and separates the rugged from the weasels." Hockey is one of the most honest sports in that way. Via Ticket IQ, an online database illustrating statistics on ticket prices. During a rivalry game, prices increased by $30 for the cheapest ticket. More so because of the tension between the two games of popularity and the chance of a fight. The bigger the rivalry, the bigger the chance of a hockey fight. And on to my final claim. Hockey fights are an established tradition in the sport. Just like many of us at home, we have our traditions, whether it's we celebrate a certain holiday or a specific dish at a dinner table. Hockey as well has its traditions, and that's a hockey fight. 98% of NHL 98% of NHL players surveyed in 2012 said that they do not want to ban fighting in hockey. Fighting is an essential part of the professional game and is covered by the NHL and the NHL rulebook. The rulebook of the NHL and other professional leagues contains specific rules for fighting. The rulebook addresses the fighting in Rule 46. These rules state that initiation of a fight, both players must definitely drop their sticks and may not be used as a weapon. It is until one of the players hits the ground or until a referee halts the fight that the fight essentially stops and both players are sent to the penalty box for 5 minutes. Fighting has been a part of the sport since formation in 1917, and banning the fight will not only hurt the players, causing more injuries, it will also hurt its tradition, as it's reportedly existed for over 100 years. So in conclusion, fighting in hockey is beneficial. It's a beneficial aspect to the sport. It allows hockey to be a safer sport, increases its entertainment value, and keeps its tradition. Thank you.
Okay, the proposition's clear. There's a pretty good layout of the secondary points, although you're rushing through it a little bit, speaking of rushing. The presentation's organized. You signpost the points in the body of the speech. That was fine. There's not a lot of examples, but you do have some experts, mostly players, who are talking about what they see as being important in the fights, especially in that first point, in holding other people accountable and reducing potential injuries. There's a series of statistics that you presented to suggest that the number of hits is a variable of retaliation, that kind of thing. I'm not sure that at that point exactly proves the thing that you're talking about, but it's at least a starting point on that particular issue. On the entertainment value, I thought that the one piece of information about how the ticket prices go up when they got rivalry games kind of illustrated your point a little bit, although there's an assumption that rivalry games are going to have more fights than non-rivalry games. I think that's probably a safe assumption, but it would be helpful if you had some data that went along with it as well. Then the last point basically is talking about traditions. That's mostly a value argument that you're dealing with here, which is not necessarily a bad thing, but doesn't necessarily fit with what our current assignment is. I'm sorry about rushing, but